All right, everybody, so the time has come, finally. So I know you guys have been looking forward to this discussion video. Just now wrapped up a very long, awesome discussion with the bros over there at Semblance of Sanity, Caleb and Jacob. Definitely had a great talk. I'm sure you all are going to enjoy the conversation. It's crazy how the Haikyu community, is so amazing and so positive that I have never spoken to these guys before, ever, but yet you would never think that after watching this video, because everything was just nothing but just constant conversation, just flowing, just constantly. It's like, it was no awkward kind of like hiccups or anything. Like, we were just expressing our love for such an amazing show, and I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy this this discussion. I appreciate everybody who not only reached out to them to make this happen, but to all of you that support not only me, but them as well. So I don't want to drag this intro out. Hope you all enjoy this very, very long discussion video, and there will definitely be more in the future. So enjoy. I can lead it off.
Okay, sure. Yeah. How about
All right. Yeah. So, okay, I want to start off the series by asking both of you, what were your thoughts before getting into it? Like, what did you expect?
Oh, Haikyu, volleyball.
Yeah.
Have you seen that ProZD video?
Yeah.
Where he's like, volleyball anime? I don't give a shit about volleyball anime.
That was
And the center, they orchestrate the offense of the team. They must be highly skilled in their accuracy, in perfect sync with the hitters. The bond between players is so strong. It is poetry in motion.
That was literally one of the things that helped us basically be like, okay, we need to watch the show, because like a bunch of people saying like, oh, you need to watch this show or you need to watch that show, and we were sort of like, volleyball, but like, volleyball, how interesting can that be?
Yeah.
And then that just addressed it perfectly.
Right, and there were a lot of people that were saying that this show is so good, as far as for what we like with characters, that it will be a masterpiece to us just on how well they do characters. So we were like, okay, well, that solves our worry about whether or not this show will have a decent story, because it's ultimately a sports anime. But then we started watching it, and within a few episodes, we realized, no, this isn't just a sports anime. This is something else. And oh man, what about you, dude? Like,
definitely. See, I picked it on a whim, because I was like, okay. It had only been on the second like show I ever did on my channel, so I was like, okay, whatever. I don't have the fan base to pick the show for me, so I'm just gonna pick it myself.
Right.
And I was like, I given I have a sports background, I was like, okay, I've seen iShield 21, so I was like, okay, I enjoyed it. And so I was like, Haikyu, volleyball. I know nothing about volleyball, nothing. So how can they make volleyball entertaining?
right.
I watched the very first episode. I'm a sucker for intros, and if
a good OP, yeah.
if they hit me right, I'm just like, oh, hold on, I like it already. And then when they gave us they showed us kind of like what Hinata's is about, and I'm like, okay, so he's a little short little dude trying to play volleyball, okay.
Right.
And so, and then he goes up against Kageyama, and then just like that whole backstory on just that right there, I'm just like, I love me some backstory. So that whole first episode, and it led up to them being on the same team. I'm just like, okay, I gotta see how this is gonna develop. I have to see it, and it was really. They did a really good job with the first episode, like I said, because the intro alone, the first episode with him being just so passionate about this sport, and then of course obviously having his goal, which is the little giant he's looking up to. So it's just like so much in that first episode. I'm just like, there's no way I cannot watch this. There's no way.
Yeah, that's something that I think Jacob and I have just so much appreciation for when a show just does everything right in the first episode.
Yeah. Right. And we were kind of surprised at first. We were like, okay, this was a great first episode, but like, is this kind of a fluke, or is it going to keep that up? And then as it went on, we were just like, that they're just still so focused on the characters. Like in the first 3 or 4 episodes, we were so shocked at how little they actually focused on volleyball.
Right.
How it was focused on the characters and their dynamics and how they got along. We were just like, this is amazing.
And I gotta say, like, Haikyu as a show knows when it's time to be serious and when it's time to just goof off. Like Suga, I couldn't remember the feeling I got when Suga
did his
dirt face at them when he closes them out of the gym, and it's like, no, you guys have to learn how to work together. But before you do that,
and we've got the really hot, like girl that's on our team.
Yeah. This show, the characters alone, it handles the characters so well. Like, there's really, I could honestly say only one other show, in my opinion, that does a great job with a load of characters, and that's My Hero. But with Haikyu, with it being so many characters, not only on Karasuno but on all these other teams, you still you get backstory on people that you don't even really see too often. Like the fact they even gave us backstory on Kenma from Neko, I was like, really? He's not even on the main team that we came here to watch. But I'm like, okay, so I like that about this show. It really forces you to engage with not only Karasuno but other teams, other characters, and I'm not gonna lie, I said this so many times through all my videos. I was always happy whenever I saw Okawa.
Weren't we all? That little K-pop star, that little like beautiful asshole. Like he carried in a lot of ways. The I would say the Kageyama character dynamic into like the stratosphere. I feel like Kageyama's character was one that needed to overcome his flaws and be a team player. But it was Oikawa that was his, I would say, his vision for the future, who he was going to surpass. And he still hasn't, in some ways, surpassed Oikawa yet.
Oh, no, no,
he's
not
matched
yet.
him. Like, he's come up to that point where, they're on the same level. And, kind of skipping linearly here, going ahead to Kageyama getting involved in the Nationals training camp. That's so exciting to look forward to.
But it is.
But it's something that, when they call, Oikawa the Great King, and, Kageyama, they were calling him the king back in season 1, and maybe some of Abujasai in season 2, it really made the rematch so much more powerful in season 2. Because of how much of it, Kageyama felt was kind of stolen from him by his mentor, and he gets to come back strong for it. And then, I think that made him rely on Hinata more. Like, what was the moment in season 2 where Hinata is pissed off that they won't let him evolve? Do you remember that?
Oh, that was when that's because Hinata noticed that quick wasn't working anymore.
Right.
So he wanted to get better himself, but Kageyama was like, no, I'm not gonna. I already told you from day one, I'm not gonna set to anyone who isn't gonna contribute to the team. And with Hinata wanting to do something, pretty much open his eyes. He's like, I want to look at the ball, but Kageyama's like, no, it doesn't work, so I'm not going to do it.
That was something I remember Jacob and I, we both had very different kind of cool opinions on, because I was kind of on Kageyama's side in that, you can't guarantee Hinata's going to be able to get better than this. But because, in some ways Hinata knows himself better than anyone else, he's like, no, I can. Like, that moment when Ukai's like, you can see the ball, Ukai freaked out, and he's just like, oh my god, wait, you actually see it? And he's like, well, yeah, and it's just like, no, though, that's not possible. Like, and obviously some kind of fluke, right?
I loved how Ukai was just like, no, that's he was just imagining things. But what if?
What if? And I love that they, in some ways, they staked their teams. Their team's longevity of winning on this risk of having Hinata evolve. But the real payoff, I think, was that because Hinata had all this passion and because he had the desire to get stronger, but also, I would say, improve himself, a lot of the other teammates on Karasuno, they ended up doing things similarly. And without that, say goodbye to the Abujasai match, or even, Shiratorizawa as well. Even if they did somehow luckily beat Abujasai at the end of season 2. There were so many moments where Nishinoya's like, jump set, where he would jump out of the front half and set the ball. That was so many points right there.
It was.
That wouldn't have happened.
And also just like the fact that Kageyama had to grow an immense amount in order to keep up with Hinata in that sense, because they're like this, right? And now he's going to the national training camp,
which is crazy. That is when they said that at the end, I was like, yo, Kageyama's getting recognized. Like, if it wasn't for him being pretty much forced to grow as a individual, his character development, he would have never got that opportunity, just because he would have been still selfish. He would have been it would only been I instead of we,
right.
That's
it's really good that it's good that him and Hinata were on the same team. Because who knows how Kageyama would have turned out if, say, he did happen to go to Shiri Torizawa, but Ushiwaka kind of nipped that in the bud. He's like, nah, we don't got no room for no selfish setter. He's like, Okawa should have came here, not you.
I loved the whole, like, Oikawa, you should have come to Shiri Torizawa.
That voice, man. Every time he talked, I'm like, this is a grown man. Hold on.
Have you seen any of the Fate series?
I've seen it, yes.
Oh, okay, so you know Kire Kotomine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that voice, like, especially in the sub. Just I am Kire Kotomine.
I am totally not the main antagonist.
Yeah. When Ushiwaka spoke for the first time at the beginning of season 2, I was like, this guy is some Kire Kotomine, like, you don't want to mess with him guy. And then Hinata does his jump, I'm from the concrete. He actually skies him. So wait, hold on. What sport do you have a background in?
Track and football.
Oh, okay, cool. So I have a background in ultimate frisbee and essentially the running like stuff as well. So so you know that like that whole thing of in season 3, they're trying to tell Hinata how to get a better jump by giving yourself a little bit of step, and you run up to the net and jump so you get more height, right?
Right.
In season 2, he doesn't run up to it. He jumps from like 1 step.
Yeah, it was that adrenaline.
He skies a guy that's like 8 inches, maybe 10 inches taller than him.
Yeah.
And like when that happened, I had this like freak out moment where I'm like, you know what's crazy? Is that there are probably people that can jump at a higher ratio even than that. Like that's not necessarily even anime, rule of cool.
Reality is stranger than fiction.
Reality is stranger than fiction. And then I swear, like not like 2 to 3 weeks later, I went to like every single like pickup, frisbee game I knew, and I was like, hey guys, can you tell me any stories you know of like really short people that can jump really tall? And they were like, oh yeah, go look up this thing. And I forgot the thing to go look it up or whatever, but there's this guy who jumps like 40% of his height, like and he's not 5 foot, he's like 5'7" or something like that. But like
that's crazy.
Yeah. And and then I ended up going and looking up like official volleyball matches and stuff, and
right.
There's so many crazy things that are actually real that Haikyu is inspired by. And I think that makes it feel more grounded and more real, and again more character focused, because there's no anime superpowers being involved here. Other than Kageyama's toss that stops.
Well,
that.
Oh yeah, that
that is so.
It's like it literally stops at that one point, and just,
I mean.
But it's like it's still one of those things where it's like it's dramatized for the sake of the anime, but it's still something where theoretically a human person could do that. Just the fact that they'd be in high school in the first year, that's
that too. That's another thing that's crazy. See, because I said this like especially like in season 3, I said this so much. I understand that at the end of this tournament, however far they go, when Daichi, Asahi, and Suga leaves, Karasuno's still going to be a great team, because you still got Noya, Tanaka, Kageyama, Suki, Hinata. I'm sure Yamaguchi going to get better.
Oh, sure.
I mean, you still got Enoshita and all them. So I'm just like, Karasuno's still going to be a solid team even after, Daichi Nim leaves. Like, it's just crazy just to seeing how far they've grown from season 1 to season 3. I'm just like, they went through a lot to become as good of a team as they are. Like a lot. The many losses they took in season 2 at the training camp.
Can I just shout out the training camp as the best arc in this show?
I loved
it was
it.
Such a good arc.
Like
like I don't know if you could say it's the best, because like so much of Haikyu is the best. But
I
like
know, but here's the thing. In season 1, they spent so much of the beginning introducing characters,
and they did an amazing
job at that. But I feel like the way they introduced the other teams in season 2's training arc was cleverer because they understood, okay, while these are other teams like Fukuro Dani or just bringing back Nekoma, for instance, we understand where the character time needs to be spent on. And they spent so much of it on characters like Tsukishima, like Hinata and Kageyama. They, in some ways, basically told us in that training camp thing, like, oh, you want Suki character development? We're gonna tease you.
They teased it. We're gonna
sprinkle it a little bit here, but like, there's so much foreshadowing dropped there.
Oh yeah.
That like that alone makes it great. But then they had like 6 new characters effectively kind of in this whole Karasudo dynamic, or maybe a little bit less, but having them be, you know, integrated with like, you know, Bokuto,
Kuro,
Kuro, and Bokuto's setter.
I can't remember his name.
I always mix him up with Iwaizumi because Iwaizumi is Aba Jisai. But yeah, and having them do their little 3-on-3s with Tsukishima. And you know, talking about
Lev.
Yeah, we kept calling him like the Liev, like the version.
Yeah, I can never pronounce it. I was just like, you all know what I mean.
But that whole segment of episodes, in combination with the games and the training, the funnier moments like the meat is god,
the barbecue
and everything.
That was so
having this also be the first moments where Yachi got to, I would say, passionately involve herself with the team and their growth.
Okay,
and that brings up. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think we were about to mention the same thing, but Townsperson B.
Yes. That
episode,
right
that might be my favorite episode of Haikyu. I'm not sure, because it's the one that I can remember most, like, separate from everything else, because the other ones are all in like games and stuff and are so interconnected. But that episode, like, I feel like Haikyu, it does its characters amazingly, but a lot of the characters don't actually get arcs. What they more of get is like these insanely solid introductions, and then whenever they're on screen, they'll get that little snippet of time where they basically to be themselves, right? So that we know, oh yeah, these guys, you know. And Yachi, like, I was so worried when they're like, we're going to introduce another character, you know. It's like, okay, and then that episode happened, and it was amazing. They did so good to introduce her. Oh my god.
Yeah, they did a really good job. And like, again, going back to that episode, because I wrote something down in particular to that, because you remember it might have been that episode, because remember when she was talking to her mom saying that she was gonna be the manager or go out. And I wrote this down exactly what her mom said. Joining passionate people when you aren't going to give it your all is the rudest thing you could do. And that, what she said, I didn't even relate that to Yachi. It instantly made me think of Suki. Because he was the one person who, he was a good player. He's a good player, but at that point in time, not saying that I disliked Suki, but he obviously was different from everybody else. He didn't really care to be there as much. He considered it just a club. And so I was like, in a way, he is being rude because he doesn't have that passion. He just kind of does it just to be doing it. And so, and it also takes me back, it go like fast forward to the training camp. I saw another part because I kind of overlooked some things, so I had to rewatch the series a little bit, just kind of skim through it. And there was a point in time where Ukai was actually considering replacing Suki as a regular because he saw how he noticeably wasn't giving it his all. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Oh man, just how much they layered in these character moments throughout the story. I think it was very like deftly handled. Like the way that Suki as a character is one that is immediately introduced to be unlikable. Like
immediately.
Like immediately. In some ways, it's kind of a joke on our Discord. We have someone who doesn't like Hinata at all, and we like to kind of poke fun at him. But he was like, in some ways, the only way though you can like Suki is because he doesn't like Hinata. And this is something that I loved that kept the story focused on passion, was that Suki really was characterized consistently because what he was about was what he believed to be unnecessary passion, excessive passion.
Right.
Yeah.
And I have had moments too where you see those people and they're so passionate about everything, and it's just like, can you just calm down? Your energy is too much right now. But then you realize when you find a passion, it doesn't have to be the same passion as theirs. But you can connect with their energy, not necessarily their appreciation for something like volleyball, but just because they're passionate about something, you can find a common ground.
Right.
And Suki wasn't able to do that throughout the entire show. Until really up to the very end. When we start getting stuff with his brother, when we start getting stuff, when we start getting stuff with him and Yamaguchi calling him out in season 2.
Oh, that was so great.
That really brought back, I think, the show's strongest point, which was communicating how what binds all these characters together across different teams, across different skills, across even in some ways like do you remember when they go to old Coach Ukai?
Yeah.
And I think it's Hinata specifically, and they have their little like teaching bit about tempo. Yeah. I loved how Ukai was like the one that was, I would say some secondhand Hinata passion off of just experiencing hanging out with him. I love that even was shown. So it's it's everyone.
One of the things that I feel like is really important that they do with the character introductions is how they keep them in duos. Like, because like if you think about like Suki, right? Like just doing that kind of character arc would be hard enough because a lot of times the stoic characters just come off as blank rather than as actively, quiet.
Right.
But then they had him paired with Yamaguchi, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, they were able to have stuff there. When they introduced Nishinoya and Asahi, they introduced them together, right?
Yeah.
And had that great development just right off the bat with those two. Like,
oh my god.
And they did the same thing with all the other teammates. All the other teams.
Yes.
To introduce each team, instead of just saying, this is Fukurodani, they're like, no, this is Bokuto and Bokuto Center. Dang it, I keep forgetting his name. But then with Abujasai, you have the two teammates from Kageyama's old team.
You had Ken Daichi and I can't ever think of the other one.
I don't think they really spent much time on the other non-Kindaichi character. Right. Kindaichi's also easier to spot because he's just spiky hair, kind of angry eyebrows.
Right.
Yeah.
But then we have Iwa-chan and Oikawa.
Oh yes.
I will always call him Iwa-chan whenever in the context of Abujasai, because I love when Oikawa will be like flirting with girls or whatever, and he'll be like, Iwa-chan, don't be a pill, and then like Iwazumi comes up and is just like, I'm gonna beat your face in if you don't come over to practice right now. He's like, okay, ladies, I gotta go, otherwise like my
He's
basically
scary,
my other significant other is going to kill me or something.
Yeah. And I loved Oikawa for the simple fact now, because I am a huge Hunter x Hunter fan.
Oh.
And so and I knew for some reason I liked Oikawa. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm a fan of Hisoka. When I found out his voice actor was Oikawa's, I was like, maybe that's why I like him.
Yeah. And then the whole Suki voice actor is Meruem's voice actor. Yeah.
And then you had Noya, who is actually Bakugo.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
What's the other one? There's one other really cool
There's somebody from Eren from Attack on Titan.
That is Kenma.
Kenma, yeah. So I was like, they got a lot of good voice actors in here. So I'm just like, it's crazy.
Sounds about right.
I think that's right. Yeah, because
maybe don't quote us on that.
Yeah, don't quote us on that. But I believe Yuki Kaji played Kenma, which was so opposite because it's like,
but it's still that very like calming sort of voice.
Yeah.
Right. You can almost hear it more so in Todoroki from MHA. Yeah. But the other thing that Jacob and I really loved about kind of season 2 specifically was how they kept the worry about the third years basically being taken out of the story, and it was something that they kept thinking about, but they didn't want to be selfish about things like playtime with regards to Suga, or something about how they kind of in some ways gave up their potential better college opportunity or university opportunity by staying longer to play in the Aoba match, which like now that we have hindsight, and hindsight is 2020. Yeah. Doesn't it feel like in some ways Karasuno robbed Aoba? Like now I'm just saying like Karasuno played really well. But in a lot of ways I look back on that match and I go, like I really understand and empathize with Aoba as a team. I understand why they lost, and there's a good reason why they lost.
And they wouldn't have beaten Shiratorizawa.
Well, one, they wouldn't have beaten Shiratorizawa, but I'm meaning more so in the way that their team played and stuff.
They played so good.
They played so well, but they relied on both teams. But do you remember Oikawa's line back from season 1 about how it's like the best 6?
Yeah.
Like the best 6 players will always the best team of 6 will always win.
Yes.
Throughout the rest of this show, like after season 1, essentially, when Karasuno loses, Karasuno becomes the best 6 in every single game they play.
Yes, they did.
Like, what was it that Aoba over relied on Mad Dog Chan?
Definitely.
they needed Oikawa's serves in order to actually keep up with Karasuno. And then Shiratorizawa over relied on
Ushijima.
And also in some ways on Tendo's guest blocking. So now Shiratorizawa was a fantastic team of 6. But there were moments where you realize that that Karasuno now, based on how long they've gone like through all this growth and stuff, they are now the better team of 6,
which is crazy to think about.
Crazy.
And I would definitely say, as the show did go on, they, like you said, they did become the better 6. But I think it finally got cemented in season 3 against Shiratorizawa when Suki finally kind of just let that passion out, like that yell.
Oh, that yell! What was that? Was that episode 4, episode 6, or something?
Episode 4.
Oh yeah, like when that happened, Jacob and I just like let our own barbaric yacht with him, like just we feel it, buddy.
So good.
Right.
Oh
yeah.
I was like, about time. Finally, you let it out. Everybody always yelling on your team. Suki, you the only one that's quiet. Get out your head and actually. And when he finally. He had that quick little flashback to what Bokuto was telling them at the training camp. He had that moment.
He had his moment. Yep. And it was so great because
everybody felt it.
Everyone felt it, but like when he lets out his Yosha and he sustains it, like we've heard a lot of times when Nishinoya will be like Yosha, and he'll just let out his excitement, and Hinata will do it as well, but Hinata's is more like peaking, like barely got his adult voice coming in, and it's cute. But then Suki's, he sustains it for like 3 seconds.
This is a battle cry.
Right. This was something deep and guttural. And then like the moment. Team dog teams him with like they dogpile him with just like, Suki.
His brother was happy. Shimizu was shedding a little few tears. The whole bench was over. I'm just like, that Suki, that moment right there, like brought the whole team, even the stands together even more. I'm just like, because he's always been the guy who was just kind of like, I'm playing, I'm a regular, I'm better than obviously the ones that are on the bench, but I'm here. And then when that passion actually started coming out, it's like, now we're the best 6. Now everybody is working towards trying to beat this team.
And that's why I think in some ways, if we think about Aoba and we have no because I think it's very easy to look at Karasuno and be like, no, they earned the season 2 match and everything like that. You can look at how much of their their effort in this came out in big bursts from like single players pulling their weight really well. Like I think in some ways the season 2 finale goes to Yamaguchi. Like I mean, if we like, I mean, it goes to Karasuno for sure, but like Yamaguchi's moment was basically the same thing what they did like with Suki's moment. When Yamaguchi comes off of the sidelines and they're like, wait, Yamaguchi. Like we were even like, wait, is this it? Is this it, Yamaguchi?
And that was the point too when Ukai like is just like do, and then he feels this energy coming from the side and it's Yamaguchi and he's like, okay, yeah, I get it.
And those serves were so good. And it was a powerful moment. But yeah, I feel like the Shiratorizawa match overall feels like way more earned. One, because it was a 5-set match, so that was insane.
Yes,
that gave us like a brain aneurysm. We're like, oh no, this is way too stressful. 5 sets.
Where the grumpy dude in the sidelines is like, this is taking years off my life. It's like, yes, we're like, literally what's happening right now.
And speaking of that guy, and speaking about what I really want to get into now is this show does a really, really great job of putting you in the feels, both the good ones and the bad ones. Like this guy who just like Coach Ukai said, old Coach Ukai, he said, "Y'all, that guy still coming to these games, like because he remembers them." And you would almost think like this guy is just kind of like, yeah, he wants to see the team win, but he just has such a kind of like a bad attitude because he's like, I know they're not gonna lose anyway, but I'm still gonna support them. When he let out that yell, I'm like, yo, what is going on?
Like,
I'm like, and then like again, speaking about like the feels again, do you remember like that first moment where Kageyama decided to finally set to Hinata? I was like, he's finally giving him his time. He's like, you know what? I think you're ready. I was like, okay. Yeah. I like that.
That was sweet. It was something where Hinata had just, I think, defended. He had received the ball. Yeah. And then it goes up, and then Kageyama doesn't even wait for him to get up. And then he takes it and he sets it up up for him. And I'm just like, this is happening. This is happening. Someone set to me. Like when you play a team sport like volleyball, you can't just go and play it with anyone. You need to have a court. You need to have you need to have an exact number of players on each side. That's why in a lot of ways volleyball is one of the best, like I would say the best sports to kind of learn the wrong way, I think, almost, because you'll end up playing duos or something. But then when you play with a group of 6, it's like, well, we can't just all be 6 strangers. We kind of all need to know each other and stuff. And I play a lot of Ultimate Frisbee, which is like the easiest sport in the world to play just anywhere, because you just need a field, and other than that, you can kind of do your own boundaries or whatever. And yet when Kageyama does this, he's still in king mode, he's still in the, Hinata is showing that he is worthy of my, sets in some ways. So I will give him this one shot. And I think Kageyama's also thinking like, I'm warming up to this guy just a little bit. So
just a little bit.
Let's give him a shot. But for Hinata's perspective, he's been wanting to play seriously for like at least a year or more.
Yeah, he's been alone in that.
And he's been alone in that. He's been having to practice with people that are like, the older ladies club. Yeah. He's been having to
just get people to just like throw the ball up for him so he can practice spiking. But
I love how quickly you see his growth, but also how quickly his confidence comes in over just having people that are in just most objective terms way better than him at volleyball, giving him a shot, and that's the proper, I would say, the underdog story throughout like season 1 of Haikyu. And then they almost immediately in season 2 shift away from that. And now I'd love to know, for you, seasons 1, 2, and 3, which one do you prefer the most? Like,
I would probably say I prefer season 2 the most.
Okay.
Simply because, just like you said, season 1 was more about introducing all these characters and just kind of like seeing them kind of start to work as a team, but they're not quite there yet. And then season 2, this is where we kind of really get them. I would say throughout the series we do see character development, but I feel like in season 2 we see the most team development. Like they work a lot. They start to get better as a team because they're playing a lot more matches, and then they even go through their next tournament. So it's like, and again, like I said, we see them improve so much, and yeah, we still have the little character development sprinkled in there, but it's like I won't say less focus on. Well, I take it back. You're still focusing on Kageyama and everybody else because you even have that. This was season 2, right? Where, him and Hinata were still having that issue. They had recently got into that little fight, and
you have to death.
And Kageyama had to do something that he was really against. He went to Oikawa and asked him to, pretty much teach him what he should be doing, and that's when Oikawa like lets him know like. You ain't the leader. Like, no. It's like Hinata calls the shots.
Right. Yeah, you make your sets work. You make your sets work for them. Yeah. That was something that was hilarious to watch as Kageyama was like, Asahi, was that set perfect? Could I have adjusted it slightly? And Asahi's like, no, it was great. He's like, maybe a little higher next time. Maybe a little bit slower. Maybe a little bit more art. And Asahi's like, no, really, like, you're great. Like, you've got this.
Well, at that point, wasn't he like, well, sure. I mean, I suppose if you made it a little bit higher, that'd be okay.
Right.
Yeah. Asahi's so gentle. As much as Kageyama is a naturally good player,
right?
He knew his faults. Like, he knew, like, one of the fact, like, it was back in season 1 where Suga kept stepping down. He was like, I understand, like, I maybe have more talent than you, because he didn't say it in those words, but you can't beat experience, and Suga has experience, which is why I connected with Suga so much, because he was such a team player. Like, he was willing to step down to pretty much make sure that pretty much the team will continue to play, and Daichi and Asahi and everybody will still be able to, go towards their dream of, playing in nationals. And even when Suga got in, he made things happen.
He did.
And
I love how
and I loved it.
Oikawa called him, what does he call him, Mr. Sunshine or Mr.
Mr. Refreshing.
Mr. Refreshing. That's right. Just the idea that Oikawa like understood how Kageyama thinks, especially in season 1. But then when Suga comes in, he's like, Mr. Refreshing here. It's like kind of annoying because he's more of a standard setter, so you don't know when he's going to break off from the standard and do something kind of, surprising. And that was fun. But like when season 2 transitions, and you realize like how much of their journey is probably going to be going towards a rematch with Abujasai, Jacob and I were a little bit worried that the second season would suffer for it because of predictability. That the reason why season 1's ending was so crazy was because it said, no, Karasuno is going to learn the most from losing over and over again.
Right.
And the loss at the end of season 1 was so heartbreaking because they beat Dateko.
Yeah,
they beat like some really good teams
hard to get there,
and they got just destroyed. Yep. I mean, they played well. They played well.
Yes, they did.
But at the end of the day, they were not the better team. So
and I wasn't expecting that.
Oh no, none of us were expecting that.
Part of me was like, okay, I mean, it's the home team. Like, this is the team that we came here to watch, and there's no way they're gonna lose. I get it. Abujasai they're good. Like, they're good, but I'm like, they're gonna pull out a win.
Right.
And when they lost, I didn't know how to feel. I was like, where do we go from here?
Hello, darkness, my old
right. Exactly.
Yeah, when they were all crying, eating their food and stuff at the end there, we were crying with them. And
same.
And then when season 2 started, we were worried, like, okay, obviously they're going to have a rematch with Abajisai. And in fact, they were basically telling us they're going to do that. But then they built up this new team called Shiratorizawa, which we had heard tales of. Right. You know, we had heard tales of the greatest, you know, the greatest spiker in Japan, or, you know, one of the greatest teams, you know, Shiratorizawa. They're like, they stopped, you know, Abajisai in their bracket or whatever.
Dead in their tracks.
Yeah. And then we're like, okay, so what's going to be the next kind of direction for Karasuno? It's like, no, it's about the team getting more and more integrated together, getting more and more tightly woven as a unit. And we're like, yeah. But the salvo of that in episode 1, with the passion still being there and still being strong, but realizing they can't be a one-trick pony team.
Right.
And then Yachi getting introduced and showing how the story then, I would say, reiterated that the focus was not necessarily on these volleyball games, but it was how the passion of each player affected each other's, you know, relationship and just character dynamic. That when Hinata is shown to be the one with all the passion, communicating that to Yachi, someone who doesn't have a passion, who then is shown to be the underdog. That was my moment where I was like, oh my god, this show is a brilliant masterpiece. Hinata was no longer the underdog. And Hinata skies Ushijima. He passionately encourages Yachi, and then I just say that the show was just a roller coaster of just emotions and hype the whole way through.
The thing that blows me away about Haikyu is that they take the whole idea of passion, right? And that's kind of what it's all about. It's just passionate boys doing something they're passionate about. But because they keep it so simple, it's like we grow to love volleyball over the course of the show, but that's strictly like because of the passion. I feel like it could have been about anything. Volleyball was a great choice because it focuses on the teamwork aspect and everything. Yes. But really, it's just the passion. Like it makes us love the characters, and then the fact that they have Hinata's passion. They take that into Yachi, and then that part where Yachi is wondering, how can I help, right? And then she makes the flyers. Yes. With Hinata as the little giant.
That right there.
That was
that's so great. It's so wholesome.
So incredible, because it's showing that, like, because Hinata wasn't the underdog at that point.
Right.
But more than that, he was someone else's hero.
Right.
You know, like a lot of times we would talk about Haikyu in connection to My Hero Academia, because of how like similar the whole thing is of Deku and All Might, and then Hinata and the Little Giant, and and
there's this thing about
so amazing.
There's this thing about certain anime that we've been watching recently. I kind of want to avoid talking too specifically about one of them, because there's a lot of I don't know. I'm gonna save it just in case you haven't seen it, but it's an anime where dreams are a huge focus of the story and how it characterizes the main characters. And with this, the main characters in Kageyama and Hinata are consistently shown to have passion, but it's when they start talking about their dreams that the characters start to shift, I would say, even beyond just Karasuno. They start to inspire other teams. Like the part where Hinata and Kenma kind of bonded over the love of volleyball, and then after they played each other, Kenma's like, oh, I had fun. And Kuro's like, shut up, you had fun? Like, wait, what? like that kind of thing where even at the end of the Shiratorizawa match, or like the Dateko match, both of these monstrous players going up to Hinata, you know, at the end of the games and just being like, I'll beat you next time.
That was
like acknowledging
so
him.
Amazing.
It's something that it's something that I don't know if they were intentionally trying to do, but in the name The Little Giant, you have this paradox. He's little, but he's a giant. And what I think kind of is being shown here is that all these giants come up to Hinata, the little one, and acknowledge him as one of their own.
Right.
Yes.
The Oikawas, the Aones, the Ushijimas, even in some ways the Tendos, you know, they come up to Hinata and they're like, huh, you're little. And then at the end of the game, like, they're like, no, you're a little giant. And they don't ever go right out and say it.
Right, they're never that on the nose.
But they do it once. And that's with Shiro Torizawa's coach at the very end of the match. He's like, wait a minute, is number 10's Karsuno as tall as me when I was that age? And there's like, man, like that was so good.
One of the things, and you'd think we would have learned better by now, with how well Haikyu introduces characters and sticks to what makes them them, you know?
Right.
But one of the things that we were worried about going into season 3, because we were thinking like, wait, are they gonna have just the whole season be the game? And then we were like, well, how will they build up the team, Shiro Torizawa, since they hadn't really focused on him that much outside of Ushijima, in the game while they're playing, you know, because we didn't know it was 5 sets at that point, you know, and that's true. That's true.
We thought they were going to drag it out a bit too much, or that there was going to be a lot of time in between,
like
season 2 and season 3.
Or, you know,
no, that. But I was meaning like in between the Abuja Sai match and the Shiro Torizawa match.
Right, exactly. Gotcha. But then when they developed all the players just fantastically, but then you know they have this coach and it's like, oh yeah, this guy, I mean, he's a good coach, but I don't really like him all that much, you know. But then they timed the main character, and it's just like, oh my god, this is amazing! Like in such a small amount of time, they just completely turn this character around in our minds and how we feel about them, and like I gotta applaud Haikyu.
Yeah, I gotta say, bro, with your love for Hisoka, did you also sense the Hisoka vibe off of Tendo?
Oh. Yes, yeah? I did. Yeah? I said it.
Like once we even saw him, I was like, I like that guy. There's a weird crazy on him. And then when he started talking and we actually saw him in action, I was like, oh, here it is. Here's the actual Hisoka.
Right. I literally, because I was like, okay, Hisoka gets a pleasure out of fighting strong opponents.
Yeah.
Tendo gets pleasure out of crushing people. I'm like, yo, if he is not the Hisoka of Haikyu right now, then I don't know who is.
And they both have red spiked back hair. They're
exactly.
Both, like, very lanky, tall, and lanky. Yeah, like Tendo's arms are so long.
Yeah.
Like,
they look like they came out of a Shaft anime, you know, because of their necks and everything.
Yeah.
And they have creepy eyes, and they also have some kind of a weird attraction towards the main character. not
right,
in the same way with Tendo, but in the same way that they kind of
and the main character is physically very small.
That is true. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. But the way they kind of realize that they're going to enjoy, I would say, tangling with them. Just kind of getting in their heads and messing with them.
Right.
Yeah.
His whole psychology of everything too.
Yeah.
Like, of just getting into people's heads. That's very much a trickster thing, which is to a T what Hisoka is.
What was the other character that really surprised us outside of Suki, Yachi, Hinata, and Kageyama? Because I think we expected great things out of Hinata and Kageyama. Suki surprised everyone, but it was being built up so well that we knew it was coming. It was just a matter of how well they would do it. I think Yachi surprised us because she was so suddenly introduced, but introduced so well. I think in a lot of ways it was the Oikawa development at the end of season 1 where we realized
just one shot of him staring at the TV.
Right, where we realized how much he wants this. Like he works at this.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. It brought up the whole skill and talent debate again for me and Jacob, which I loved because I have a very wrong opinion about skill and talent. Like
a very wrong opinion.
But my opinion is just ultimately wrong. I don't believe that talent exists. The problem is the reason is that I just don't. I haven't met enough people with innate talent for me to say with confidence that talent is a thing. What I more say it as it's preparedness that you didn't see.
Right.
You didn't see this person work from age 5 to age 10. Every day to get good at piano,
or how they were constantly thinking about it even while they weren't doing it.
Right, and that's something that I could say is yes, like, why would anyone, be thinking solely about one thing at age 5, for instance, and become a prodigy like Kageyama or
Mozart,
or Mozart or something? And it's a very interesting discussion topic.
Yeah, and definitely speaking of more on that talent and skill thing, they even touch on it which I love that they gave us a little bit of backstory with Oikawa.
Yeah.
How Oikawa, he's somebody who they even said he wasn't naturally good. He worked at how good he is. Like, he had to work.
Yeah. Yep.
And Kageyama just shows up with natural talent, apparently.
Yeah.
And so Oikawa has to work even harder and harder. And he just kind of feels Kageyama creeping up on him without really even trying. And then it kind of leads us into that whole thing, like how Kageyama is looking up to Oikawa, but Oikawa is like kind of jealous of how
really jealous.
How naturally Kageyama is good. And so that kind of that whole situation when he was about to kind of hit him, I was like, that's when Iwachan, I'm glad he stepped in. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think it was that bad. He was about to mush his face.
That was something that didn't hit as personally for me as some of the other Oikawa moments. But I've seen that happen with people. Like, I've seen that in real life. Not necessarily any kind of physical, abuse like that, but where someone saw something and they decided to just passionately go after it for like years and years and years of hard work. And then they go to present themselves and basically showcase what they've learned and all that. And someone else will be like, oh, that thing seems cool. And within like 3 to 6 months, they surpass the person that spent 5 years on it. And it's the most depressing thing for the person that wanted it, because one, they're not necessarily coming at this from the wrong place of comparison, of like saying, because they're better than me, I can't be, passionate about it. They're basically realizing that no matter how hard they, try at this, they will never be the best at this. They will never be, they will never break into that pro level of it. There's going to be this barrier, and part of that might be innate talent. That might be just because that difference between a pro and a semi-pro is like that 2%,
that takes 10 years to get.
That takes 10 years to get, basically, right? So, Kageyama is the most skilled player maybe on Karasuno other than Nishinoya.
Yeah, Nishinoya is the one that just breaks the talent rule, because
he does. The
guardian
oh
deity,
my gosh,
he
so is the guardian, the true guardian. The many saves that were just unexpected, that were so unexpected. Like, the first one was against Daitako. I think the one where he thought he couldn't reach it with his hands, so he just sticks that leg out. I'm just like, bro. I was like,
oh, thou human, like. And then in the match with Shiro Torizawa.
Oh my gosh.
That double block. While he's on the ground.
Yeah, he just sort of flails his arms up. He's like, ah. And there it goes. Yeah.
I couldn't contain myself with that one. I was just like, who is he?
Yeah, what are you? What are you drinking? Give it to me.
And that's what I'm saying. And the fact that he still has a whole nother year to play there after this. So it's like, Karasuno is going to be set. They better be. Also, oh my gosh.
Is it just me, or the concept, like, okay, the fact that the third years will at some point have to graduate, right? And they'll have to be done playing high school. They're playing volleyball with Karasuno, right? Breaks my heart. But the one consolation I have is that means next year everyone will be calling Tanaka and Nishinoya senpai.
Yes,
and they will revel in it. They will love it so much. They will savor it. And
yes.
That is something special. I love how similar they are, and yet you look at them physically and they are complete opposites.
Oh yeah.
Like, their moments, like, there are so many people in our Discord who are like Haikyu like stans, basically. They just love Haikyu. And there's this sick appreciation every Haikyu fan has with the Nishinoya Tanaka combo. They're like, doing their little like punching up like in synchronization,
or like when when they have their like dual plan to try and get Kyoko to say say can you spank me, Kyoko, or whatever, and she's like, no, I will not spank you, and then we got her to say spank,
or doing their little like defense matrix around Kyoko
barbecue at the barbecue.
Oh my god. Or just in general any kind of like passionate just bro, let's do this. And like I think there's a couple moments where you see them just letting out their yell or whatever, and Hinata's in the background like yes, like fanning their flame essentially, like you go.
Daichi's like trying to get them to calm down. He's like, you got a handful, Daichi. Like your team is too wild, man.
It's like they're them two and Hinata are basically just the concentration of everything that Tsukishima hates in this world.
Yes.
True statement.
They're basically like the heavy metal band playing at a concert, like right outside your home, and it's like 2 a.m. and you're just like, I gotta sleep, like please. And they're like, this party doesn't stop, just going for it. What were we talking about with passion and skill and talent? Right. I wanted to quickly jump back to that, because the skill and talent thing it resurfaces over and over again, because I think it's something where people are like, Hinata, if you just happen to be taller, you would be a pro, you would be a god, you would be terrifying at this sport. And I kind of see that as a form of him not having talent. Sure. He wasn't born with the physiological advantages that Tsukishima and Kageyama had, right?
Right.
But I also see that as the thing where it's like, well, wait, but how does he jump that high? It's something that I have to say is that's kind of a talent, but because it's contrasted by the fact that he's still short,
Tsukishima would not be able to jump that same distance, he could get higher probably,
but he could block Hinata probably pretty consistently.
Oh yeah.
So what I want to ask you guys here is, like, do you feel like Haikyu as a show handles it that Hinata is one that had talent and had to hone it with skill, or he didn't have talent and he had to essentially develop the skill to overcome his lack of talent? Or was it something else?
Like, because they show him doing things badly so much, especially at the beginning, and it's just like all he really has is his energy and his jumps. But like, you could say that's a result of his energy, so he does it a lot, so he gets better at it, and he's small, so he doesn't weigh much. So it's actually possible for him to jump. But
okay,
Yeah, and I mean, they even touch on that a little bit. I think maybe either season 1 or season 2. I don't remember which one, but I think it was either Daichi saying something about it, or I don't remember who, but it was when they were still trying to get Kageyama and Hinata to work together. So it might have been season 1.
Okay.
But pretty much, I think they either said that Hinata, though he lacks the talent or whatever, his pure athleticism is kind of what makes up for that. And then with Kageyama being so talented, but him, not pretty much be willing to kind of work with others in a way.
Yeah.
But if you can kind of get them to work together, that's when they were still trying to develop that duo.
Right, the multiplicative bazooka effect.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I thought I was gonna get a 10 plus 10, but I got that 10 times 10.
That was actually a fun little foreshadowing also of Shiro Torizawa in a way, because they talk about how Shiro Torizawa's effect is additive and Karasuno's is multiplicative. So if Karasuno can keep these dynamic combos going up, they will win, and it is what ends up having them win, because I guess what Shiro Torizawa did was they were just like, we will overwhelm them with raw strength.
Yeah,
exactly. Raw, aggressive, unrelenting strength. And it worked for like the first, what was it, 2 sets? Or do they lose the second set?
I think they lost the second
I think they lost the second set, and that was Tsukishima's yell when he blocks.
Right.
Or did he block Ishijima, or did he...
But it wasn't the second set that they like because it was the third set that they won, because otherwise it would have been Karasuno would have had to win all 3 sets after that, and they didn't do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Jacob and I were so freaking out in the middle of that match, trying to be if it's a 5-set match, that means that Karasuno has to win this one, otherwise they'll make it so they have to win the third one. Or
and then there's no narrative tension because they have to win all of them, you know.
Yeah. So we kept going back and forth on like what we would predict and stuff, and in the end. I was so wrong. I thought that they were going to lose again. I thought they were going to lose it. When you were watching the third season for the first time, I say that's weird for me to say it because I've already kind of been rewatching Haikyu like all the way through in some ways, but skipping around here and there. Did you think that Karasuno was going to pull a win, or did you think Shiratorizawa was going to win?
I honestly thought Shiratorizawa was going to win.
Oh, you did
simply
too?
Because
Oh, dang.
Like, I thought that because, yes, Karasuno, they've gotten a lot better. They've gotten really good. And they overcame Abu Josai. They overcame him. Congrats. But again, Shiratorizawa was better than them. So I'm like, how much better could they have gotten? And you also got to think, they didn't have too much time to practice in between. I think the match was the next day, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was like how much for having such a close match against Abu Josai. It amazes me that they even, and that's what they're good at. They step up when they need to, but they stepped up a lot to beat the team that no one expected to lose. Like, it was a shocker.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just was not expecting it because again, Shiratorizawa, they were good. Like, they were good, and I thought when the match started, I'm like, oh, this ain't gonna be good. I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah, they looked like they were all huge. They all had basically this just confidence of like, yes, we're champions, and we are used to just winning here. It's like, wait, why are we not facing Abu Josai? This is interesting.
Yeah. Like it was this feeling where it's like they aren't even thinking about winning this match. They're thinking about winning nationals. Like, this is just like, oh yeah, we'll do this,
And they weren't like overconfident, cartoony villains or anything. They were real people that were just excited to play, and they had, just the unfortunate bit of being the perspective team against, Karasuno at the time. But when we got in their heads and stuff, that was great. We got into Ishijima's backstory a little bit. I loved the whole thing of like him being left-handed was seen as this kind of an oddity, and I had no idea that in Japan actually that's somewhat of a bad luck thing. That's like
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I know that some people will find it kind of be like, oh, you're left-handed. That's kind of random and weird and cool. Like, very few people are left-handed, but it was more of a thing of like, no, they'd like try and like teach you out of being left-handed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, wait, what? Like, I had no idea that was even a thing. But then the what was it? The dad that was like really
awesome,
really like championing him to just go for it and make it into a strength. And then he's this terrifying force of nature in the actual game, where it's like, how can we stop him? We can't. We just need to direct him towards Nishinoya
and hope that the guardian deity can handle it.
Yeah, hope. Yeah. Hope, pray. Yeah,
like this is what Noya is here for. This is Noya's single job. Stop him. And I was worried. I was worried.
Even get close to that.
Yeah, and I was worried because it seemed like Noya could not stop the power that was like it was just so powerful. He just wasn't used to it. And it was like knocking him down.
And I love when Nishinoya started to get rattled by it, because like if Nishinoya, like, and the fact that they singled him out and they're like, if we break him, we break the spirit. We break the spirit of the team, because he's the safety net. He's the everything's cool. Why? Because I am here.
Right.
And they actually had him get scared. He's like, I don't know if I can do it. And then how did he shake himself out of it? He just sort of like slapped his cheeks or whatever, and he's like, okay, like 3 more or something like that. But
and there's a lot of moments like that, because you also go we rewind back to when Daichi got hurt and Tanaka felt bad about it.
Yeah.
And like it was really affecting him, and he kind of had to slap himself in the face and like, okay, I'm good now, you know.
Yeah.
and with the whole thing with Daichi getting hurt and him not wanting to leave because it was that whole feeling of I don't want to come back and we lost. Like that was pretty much how it was. And that's that same feeling that Suki had.
Yep.
Like he did not want to not want to leave and come back. And you know what? That he kind of reverted a little bit cuz he tried to make a little wise crack in the back, and then once he turned around, he had that look on his face like he was like hurting inside. And his brother noticed. It's like
Yeah, that was something I remember when Suki got injured.
Yes.
I think this might have been one of the things where, Jacob, you noticed that because of him being injured, Carson had to win.
Right.
I kind of took it way more seriously in the standpoint of the injury because it, I guess from your perspective, didn't look as serious.
Well, not that it wasn't as serious, but just the idea that it was just a thing, something that they sort of couldn't avoid, right?
Right.
You know, it just happened.
Right. And I've been in situations where your finger basically, like one of your dominant hand fingers just gets like just totally just ruined. And it's like, no, it throws you off like entirely. When he stepped off, I'm like, you know what's crazy? Like when he steps back on, he's probably going to get hit there like multiple times over that. And he did. Like there was something where that would have been the moment that old Suki would have quit.
Yeah, exactly.
And the minute we see him go off there and he's like hiding his pain because he doesn't even want other people to be worried for him.
Right.
We're like, oh man, no, this is it. Like I wish I had the foresight from that moment when I was watching it to be like, oh my god, now this is the greatest comeback ever. Carcino is definitely going to win, and not only that, they're going to win because of Suki when he comes back.
He's going to come back at the darkest hour
and save them.
And it was so crazy. And the craziest thing about it, because, like I said, I would probably say throughout the entire series, the persons that developed the most, that I enjoyed most, was Suki's.
Sure.
But the fact that Daichi even noticed, he's like, because he noticed the look of, like, hurt on his face. He's like, to think that even he can make those faces right now. Because previous Suki back in the day wasn't making those faces. He's like, okay, I'm hurt, whatever. But now he's like really like torn inside because he's like, I did not want to come off the court.
That was Hinata's thing, and this is something that I really feel like is important here. Hinata is the reason for a lot of Suki's development. Yes. It's not that Suki doesn't have agency as a character. It's that when you go back and you look at how many moments throughout the show, Suki kind of gets this pissed off look at Hinata.
Yeah.
He doesn't like it because he says why, that he doesn't like that kind of needless, passionate excitement. He's like, he doesn't like those loud, excited people who just kind of are in your face all the time. But as you go later into the show, you realize that in some ways he's actually getting a little competitive with Hinata, and he feels the disparity as Hinata is starting to leave him in terms of being, you know, skilled. Like Hinata is just clearly better than him at a certain point in season 2. Yeah. And then when we get into the whole thing with his brother, we get into the whole thing with why he doesn't like that fake passion, as he calls it, or that false, you know, kind of front that people put on to show that they're excited. It hits so hard, and you realize that, you know, he's the opposite of Hinata in a lot of ways, like almost every way. But it was Hinata's passion, it was Hinata's excitement that kind of showed him how he can do that too. Maybe how that passion can be funneled into your growth and your I don't know, your just overall experience of it.
And a very aptly timed line from good old Yamaguchi.
Yes, Yamaguchi was a good friend, because in Yamaguchi, you could definitely tell he really not only looked up to Suki, but he knew that Suki was, he knew he loved volleyball. He was just pretty much too stubborn to admit it. And like in season 2 of the training camp, he even asked Hinata, what would you say to Suki at this moment? Like, because he wanted to be there for his friend. He just didn't know how to do it. And then that's when he's like, no, I'm just gonna get in his face and just tell him you're looking lame right now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then Suki's like, you're so cool right now. When did you get cool? I was like, oh, Suki.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fantastic because Yamaguchi was also going through his own development.
Yep. So the fact that he was the one that said it was just like both for Suki but also for himself. It was just
right. Because season 1 Yamaguchi was literally Suki's hype man. There was nothing he really did. Like he kind of was just like, yeah, Suki's the best. Like, oh, Suki, and it felt a little bit. It felt a little bit like they were basically telling us Suki might actually be holding back Yamaguchi. Now, I don't think that they ever went really in depth into that, but I like that when we go back and find out about Suki's backstory, Yamaguchi was there. Like Yamaguchi was, around at that time. And that I think makes it really, really special. But when Yamaguchi just excels in the second game with Abajisai, there was something in me where those moments where Suki would kind of say a word or something, basically to encourage Yamaguchi. I was like, those words are actually genuine. Like, now I was like, well, what? Why can't Suki kind of believe in himself and go after it in this way? And then of course season 3 happened. And the rest is history.
I really love like the way they did Suki's backstory though, because like with how they set him up in season 1, it was kind of stereotypical.
Yeah, it was kind of cliche.
It's just sort of cliche. Oh yeah, the dude that he rags on Kageyama. So okay, cool. Because Kageyama had some growth to do.
Yeah.
Right.
But as for I'm just dispassionate. It's like okay, cool. But then when we see how much he believed in his brother.
Yeah.
And then seeing his brother putting up all the fake positivity, all that fake energy, right? That we know Suki hates so much. And then he sees just how fake it is. It's just like that part when he just comes in
and he's in the stands.
Like
yeah, that hurt.
That was a very it was a horrible moment for both of them.
Yeah.
He's like, they just saw each other from across. Oh my god.
Like one of the things I love in stories is nonverbal communication. When they don't actually have dialogue, because good dialogue alone is hard enough to come by, but when stories will not have characters say anything, but you know exactly what's being communicated, and that was one of those moments where it's just like, oh boy,
that was crazy.
Oh my gosh, and the show just does a great job of I feel like I don't know if the show would have been as great as it was if they didn't give us backstory or as much as they did. Because again, we got connected with the characters.
Yep.
We understand why they are the way that they are. It made for a more pleasurable experience, really.
Yep.
Because like one random team, which was. It was in a way it was unnecessary, but it was necessary at the same time. I think it was the first match of the fall tournament, or the first season maybe. It was against Ogi or whatever.
Yeah, it was the team that had Daichi's old friend in there.
No, okay, the second match then.
Okay, gotcha.
The one with the guy with he had like the 3 little things on his head, the hair.
Yep.
And how it showed old dude kind of just looking at the ball saying, I can't get it. And just, they gave us backstory on that, which, again, wasn't necessary, but it was a way of making us kind of feel for that team. Right. It was like, I was like, because in the beginning of the match, I'm like, this dude that already rubbed me the wrong way because he's picking on Hinata. Hinata gave him them eyes like, I'm gonna win. What you mean?
Right.
He's like, we go, and then when he kind of that same moment happened where he's like, what's the point, And then he actually decided to run for it. I was like, thank you. I was so happy for him because I'm like, thank you for at least fighting to the end, like instead of just kind of giving up.
Because one of the things that I was probably surprised most by with Haikyu is how they made it so that even though like they did the whole thing with having them lose to Abuja at the end of the first season, right? And that was fantastic for showing that they can lose, right?
Yeah.
But from then on out, they didn't lose, and up till that point in the first season, they didn't lose, and there was this knowledge that it's like, okay, they're probably going to win here. Got scared at Datiko and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But they could still have that feeling of hype that comes in when they do win, which was incredible that they could do that. But then they didn't just like rely on that. They would develop the other team, these people that you didn't know or care about, and by the end of it, make you feel sad for them. So you know, you were like, wow, yes, Karasuno won. I'm so thankful for that. But, man, these guys lost.
Yeah, that was something that again we compared to MHA. Was MHA for all intents and purposes is a very, very predictable show, but
season 2.
Well, like that sure, but I was meaning more so the structure that MHA goes on its flow is very, I would say, very standard. It's very predictable. It's very easy to kind of guess where things are going to go. But because so much of it is focused on the growth of characters like Deku, and then the dynamics with, you know, characters like Todoroki in season 2, or just All Might in general. Haikyu does this as well, where every team is given focus alongside the development of Karasuno. So in that same way of them introducing the characters in duos, you can kind of look at a match as a duo introduction as well to some different aspect of Karasuno in addition to whatever team they're facing. And they seem to do that in parallel. There were a lot of times where you know, there's the certain aspect of the confidence of Hinata coming into the first match against Daichi's old teammate and stuff. And then Hinata seeing in a lot of ways the similarities of having the teammate that, you know, wants to be passionate and go after this sport and stuff, but doesn't have a team around them to make it happen. And Hinata's realizing, oh my god, I'm so grateful for this team I have around me, and that I can rely on them because I've been where that guy is at.
I was him.
I was him. Yeah. And it's nothing where Hinata did something in order to make that happen. It was that in some ways he was just blessed in order to be on a team like Karasuno, where their passion is different from his, but in some ways it's there. Like that's something that I love. I loved when they showed that in the season 2 training camp, that each team kind of had their own passion and stuff, but it was more so specifically like they would introduce these characters that were the leaders of each team, and each of them had passion in their own way. So when they brought up whichever character of Karasuno's was being focused on at that time, the passion of each player was kind of, I would say, put into kind of a parallel kind of how do I say this? The way it was showcased was just done in parallel with each other.
They grew both teams at the same time.
Right. And that just seems like something you'd have to do if you have this many characters. But most shows don't do that well. And then a lot of other shows just don't do it at all because they can't. And that, again, that's Haikyu. Haikyu's that good.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, just one last thing on the whole idea of Hinata being blessed to be on the Karasuno team.
Yeah.
One of the things that it's one of those little things, and it kind of doesn't really matter, but I love to think about is the idea that Hinata put himself there. You know, even though he didn't know that Karasuno was going to be this amazing team, right? He was so focused on the little giant and, you know, his hero and the kind of person that he wanted to be that he ended up providing the opportunity for all of this to happen.
So providing the opportunity for him to be on Karasuno?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Gotcha. All the stuff that happened with the team and everything. That's a whole other enchilada. You know. But just the idea that he did end up on that team as a result of a choice that he made, even if it wasn't like him consciously thinking, this team will, you know, go to nationals.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, Hinata was just somebody who just wanted to play volleyball.
Right.
Like he wanted to play, and whatever team would take him, he would have played for him.
Right. And that's where I think it is kind of a luck thing not a luck thing, but kind of just a thing where Hinata showcases his gratitude like over and over throughout the story in season 1, especially because he's realizing how good this feels to be on a volleyball team where everyone is passionately going after it. But Kageyama was going to Shiratorizawa. Like, because Kageyama didn't go to Shiratorizawa, he ended up on Karasuno's team.
Yeah.
The whole thing of Hinata being this dark horse, surprise, secret weapon of Karasuno was really only possible because him and Kageyama were on the team at the same time.
Yeah.
If Kageyama had gone to Shiratorizawa, Hinata would not have been a starter. I don't even believe he would have been like I mean, maybe he would have been a starter, but I don't.
But they wouldn't have gotten far.
They wouldn't have necessarily gotten far with him early on. It might have been like 3 or 4 games into it. They're like, oh, Hinata's starting to grow, like in season 2, for instance.
Right.
And it's like, okay, now that he's growing, sure. So I think it's a cool thing where you look at every single player in Karasuno's team, and they all meant so much, just to the team. But how much the team as a whole meant to Hinata, someone who came from a team where no one else was at his energy level. No one else was at his passion level. In this, he has to like run and fight to keep up with just Kageyama alone. But then he has other people who are so far ahead of him in experience. It has nothing to do with energy levels at that point. Everyone has a good energy level for, except maybe Suki in the beginning. But it's just like, no, you have to work hard to just keep up with them on a skill experience ability wise, because they're all really good.
Yeah, they're all way better than you.
Way better than you.
And that's the thing, like, because bouncing to Suga, Suga's not a bad player at all, but he recognized that the pressure of like playing at that level was a little too much for him. And he kind of even like said something along those lines to Kageyama, and Suga served his purpose, and he even knew that as much as Suga could play well with Daichi, Noya, Tanaka, and everybody else, he even said the only person that can bring out the best in Hinata is Kageyama.
Yep.
And so when Hinata wasn't playing that well, he knew that Kageyama needs to get back on the court. And it was true. It was a true statement. Like I said, he has the experience, and he's played with Tanaka and Daichi and Asahi and all of them for at least a year with Tanaka and Noya at least. But Daichi, he's been with them for, 2 years previously? So it's like he already knew how to play with them. Hinata was like a wild animal that he just could not he's like,
That's a great way to put it.
He's like, I can't tame him. Kageyama's the only one that can put a leash on him. So, and it was just like, that's why I love Suga's character, because he's someone who is, like I said earlier, he's a team player. He's not in it for the glory. Long as his team is winning, he's fine. Like, he doesn't care. He doesn't need the spotlight of being on the court.
Right. And it adds so much to the whole idea of the third years, this potentially being their last season, or definitely their last season, but how long will it go? Because every time that he lets Kageyama, be the setter, right? Every time he's on the bench, it's, even though they're not actively saying, yes, this is a sacrifice that Suga is making,
right?
It's something that's in the back of our minds of, he wants to play just as much as everyone else, and he's not, even though he might only have like 30 minutes of total playtime left in his high school experience.
That was something that really broke my heart in season 2. There's a part where he goes to Ukai, and he basically just says, I'm staying. I want to play as much as possible. I understand that I'm not as good of a setter as Kageyama. Then you know what he does? He then goes to every single player and starts like developing the tactics and tricks that they're going to use together
when he's not even
really ready to be a setter. And then he goes and starts working on his own time and preparing specific moves and techniques and, strategies and stuff. And it's not just things for him. I think, if I remember correctly, doesn't he give even some of these strategies and tips to Kageyama as like, hey, here's some ideas I noticed, some things maybe you might want to incorporate. And every single player goes and kind of works on themselves in season 2 specifically, except maybe Tsukishima, because he works on himself a little bit though. He works on himself a little bit. But it was the moment where they would all go and work on themselves individually without the compulsion of the team. Basically, I kind of look at Kageyama and Hinata as like spurring each other on as something that they were really blessed to have. Because there was no one, like, if you look at Daichi wasn't specifically pushing Suga, for instance, to get better so that he can be a setter, and vice versa. So there was maybe a little bit of that with Nishinoe and Asahi kind of pushing each other a little bit.
Yeah.
But, and then of course the Yamaguchi bit with Tsukishima, but everyone else kind of just decided to do this on their own accord because they saw this excitement. In some ways, the image in the very end of the first episode of season 2 is perfect, where Kageyama and Hinata are so crazy excited about this that they run ahead of the whole group, and everyone's just like, what is wrong with these kids? They just have limitless energy, and then they just run off into who knows where. They get completely lost.
Yeah.
I love that. That was hilarious. But that's kind of the image I think the rest of the team had, where there are these 2 wild children running ahead of them, and they're not slowing down. In fact, they're getting faster and faster, and soon they're just going to run away with us. So do we want to just watch them and cheer them on? Hey, that's a good thing. But what if we did something better? What if we channeled that same energy that they're using? We lived off a little bit of it vicariously and used that to propel ourselves forward. And even Nishinoya, the god of Karasuno, he had a couple things. He's like, yeah, I could... He's like, I've always wanted to try this. Like, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can evolve too. I thought that was really powerful. Really good stuff.
Yeah, it was just, they did so much. They did so much right in this show, and it's crazy. Just like, I feel like as it's like over and there's no more to watch. I'm just like,
for now.
I wonder. Yeah, for now. I wonder how much more can we get. It's crazy. It's crazy. And like the whole I don't know if you guys watched it was like it wasn't part of the series, I guess, itself. It was like the aftermath of the Seijo versus Karasuno match.
Yes.
Where they kind of showed us the perspective of, oh my gosh! Like seeing that, I'm just like, y'all just love giving us this like not only backstory, because one, like I knew that Okawa and Iwa-chan were playing for a long time, but I knew they like literally grew up together playing this. So I remember earlier when you said you feel like Karasuno like robbed them of this. It's like those 2 in particular wanted this so badly. Like they wanted to beat Ushiwaka so bad, at least once. At least once.
Yep. And now they might never be playing together on a team.
And then there was that one moment, this might have been actually in the series, where Oikawa actually sees Ushiwaka, and he's like, you need to watch out for Kageyama, pretty much. It's like, I was like, yo, that little encounter right there, I was just like, because Ushiwaka was like, you pretty much made a mistake not going to Shuri Torizawa. I was like, yo, first of all, that's bold. I was like, hey, okay. And so, but it's like moments like that. It's like there's so many moments that are so powerful that, again, as much as the show is, Karasuno is the focus of this show, every other team and every other character is just as much of a focus. There would be no way of enjoying the show as much as we did if we didn't have all these little moments.
I think that's maybe what gives Haikyu also a lot of rewatch value. I've been talking with a lot of people now that we finished Haikyu, and people are just like, oh my god, did you notice this? Did you notice this? Go back and check out this. And I'm like, yes. And people are saying things like, when you watch Haikyu for the first time, you end up having your favorite character in Karasuno. And then you go back and you rewatch it, and you realize how much characterization might be there in these other side characters. And almost everyone ends up basically with this weird thing where everyone is their favorite character in Haikyu. And it's more just that you kind of essentially adopted a whole bunch of just boys, you know? And then Yachi and Kyoko, of course. But
of course.
Yachi is our probably our favorite character in just some of the just enjoyment we got from what she meant as a character. But I've talked with so many other people that love Oikawa specifically for not just the fact that he's kind of the Hisoka, you know, kind of pretty boy, always a smooth talker and all that, but he gets all this characterization and focus in every season, even in season 3 when he watches the match and stuff, all disguised in his Clark Kent, his Clark Kent, like, I have glasses, they can't tell it's me.
And I love that he didn't go there with Iwa-chan, but they both are like, you're here too.
You're here too, right. And that was something that I predicted back in season 2, Oikawa's going to be there at the match, and he's either going to be like, you know, I don't care who wins because I hate them both, or I hope Karasuno just destroys
because I hate them a little bit less.
At one point, he was like, "Oh, I want them both to lose," and then he was like, he was upset that Ushiwaka wasn't as upset. He's like, "Why doesn't he look as upset?" I was like, "It's hilarious."
But specifically with Oikawa, a lot of the people that were saying that if you go back and look at his characterization all throughout, he's kind of a character where you see not the Hinata in him specifically, but you see the character who had the energy for volleyball like Hinata, but never really had his team at his level. So Oikawa was forced to accommodate in a lot of ways his team's shortcomings. Because what was it? It was saying that Ushijima said that Oikawa was wasted on a team like Abujasai. Basically saying that the reason why Abujasai was so good was that Oikawa brings out the best in all of them. Which you look at that and you go, wow, that says a lot about Oikawa. What a great person he is, despite him kind of being a trash boy as well. But I think it also shows how maybe Ushiwaka was right, because he should have gone to Shiratorizawa. But the reason why he didn't maybe was because he wanted to play with Iwaizumi. And because of that, he ended up being on a team where, like Hinata in junior high, he had to drag everyone else maybe up with him. This isn't to say that Abujasai was a bad team. It's far from it. They're a fantastic team. But it makes you look at him in kind of an underdog way, in kind of a way of someone that's, yes, he is exceptionally good, so it's hard to think of him as an underdog. But because of the way his team was and the way that he had to bring out the best in all of them and be that exceptional leader and still lose at the second match because of that, like even with a new secret weapon added into the whole mix, it didn't matter.
I think it would have had the effect of, if you look back on it, it would have been like, because I agree exactly with everything that you're saying. He pretty much holding back his skill to make sure that everybody else looks good. And he just happens to look good as well doing it.
Because those serves,
yes,
those
my
sets,
gosh,
he is really good at the sport. Like,
But it's almost like what happened was, because him and Iwa-chan wanted to beat Ushiwaka. They wanted to. So he's like, we can't do that if we go to the same team. And it's almost like Hinata and Kageyama. Hinata didn't want to be on the same team as Kageyama. He wanted to beat Kageyama.
It's just a happy
and that was their whole conflict in the beginning. He still saw him as a rival instead of a teammate. Which, I mean, you can still see him as a rival, but he saw him more as a rival, and that's why they pretty much almost didn't even get to be on the team. But I definitely, in a way, do agree with Ushiwaka about that. But I was more happy about the fact that they still continue to play in college. That's all I was happy about. I was like, thank you. I was like, y'all better not stop playing. I want to at least see some college matches or something.
You know what's kind of crazy, though? Because of the way they've set up the story. What's the sports anime Jake we just started? Hajime no Ippo. Hajime no Ippo. So we just started reacting to that. And one of the things people have told us is that the manga is, like, stupidly long. Like,
really?
like it's been going on for like forever. You know,
oh my gosh,
I think still going. Yeah. So like Haikyu, I feel like is one of those stories where you could actually have it go in perpetuity, like forever.
Yeah.
And not only do I believe that they could do it, because I think people would still buy it and still be interested in it and stuff. But I think in a lot of ways, it's one of the few shows, stories, manga, or whatever. I haven't read any of the manga and stuff, but like the way they do the characters so well, you could have these characters do literally anything, and I would gobble that up so fast. Like, like I don't even care if they just go to the beach and just blow the breeze or whatever. Totally. Like you could have them be just dealing with how to figure out homework issues, in season 2.
They did that. And they did amazing. It was so good. Like that part where they get their tests back and they haven't looked at them, and they're all like, what
was it? And Nishinoya has like a pencil in his mouth, and he's like,
and Hinata's like down like on his desk, and then Tanaka's like doing like a Buddha, like
yes, he's Buddha. He's just like, you know?
That was just.
That was so great.
Yeah, it's like episodes like that is because, you know, they can focus on volleyball, but we still get enjoyment out of the non-volleyball aspects.
Right. Yeah.
Like I said, like with that moment that you just spoke of, the fact that we enjoyed our barbecue episode, like they were just eating and we enjoyed that. I mean, there's so much that they can do. That like I said, that they do right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like feel like, you know, so to speak, like filler. It doesn't feel like any of that. It all feels good.
That's actually a really good point. One of the things that I've gotten on MHA about is that they do filler. And it's not necessarily just a thing of like, well, this is something that wasn't in the manga and we need to pace out the anime. They'll do little mini arcs that have essence of filler in them. They're not like total filler like Bleach or anything. But in Haikyu, the closest moments we get to that all end up by at least, I would say, the second half of whatever the episode is, delving back into something that is the characterization of at least, in some ways, almost always two different characters. Yeah. And I'll tell you, you don't know, I mean, I don't even know, I think, but I don't think any of us really realize that, like, do you realize how... I can't speak here. Do you realize how many anime out there will devote an episode and just lazily say, this is one character's characterization episode. We're going to give them the backstory this episode. And then nothing else really happens. Like, even the points where we will laud a show for being like, wow, that was a fantastic backstory episode. They focused on, like, you know, say someone else there. I think one of the best moments of this where they did it also in tandem with another character's development was 210 of MHA with Todoroki, his backstory and everything. But combining that with where Deku was at, it was a masterfully done episode. But in Haikyu, they'll weave in multiple characters through that over and over and over again, to the point where I think you're right. I think even the points where I go back and look at the teams, like the matches against teams that I knew Karasuno would win. I knew that there wasn't going to be any real dramatic tension as to whether or not they would win. They weaved in character development on not just Karasuno and their players, but also the players on the other team. I think about, like, Jozenji. Remember the party team?
The party team.
The party team. Like, I was thinking, like, oh, that's a fun gimmick. They're really goofy, and they're all like Hinata. They can all jump, and that's hilarious. But then they went back and showed their manager and how she was trying to get on them for being serious and stuff, like, or for not being serious and to take it seriously. And then they all kind of come together towards the end to do this not only just for her, but because they deserve to put in effort together and go for this. They're doing this all in tandem with, Karasuno's characterization that happens that match as well. I cannot praise Haikyu enough for the fact that it understands that a story is built around characters. So many other stories out there will just be like, this is the outline for the show. So we have our characters introduced. Once they're introduced, we don't need to give them any characterization at all.
They put the characters into the story rather than putting the story into the characters.
Yes.
And the whole thing that you said where it's like, you know, they could make a Haikyu, you know, spin-off show about anything, right?
Yeah.
And I'd gladly watch it, right? Like,
Yes.
like if it was like a Christmas episode
Yeah.
for Haikyu, or where it's out, they're out in the snow and they build snow forts and have snow fights or something, I would gladly watch that. A dedicated cooking show, you know, with Haikyu of like the food that they eat to make sure that they're ready for practice the next day or something.
We find out that. Yeah, we find out that Daichi is low-key like the nutritionist of the group.
Yeah,
and he's like,
exactly.
all right, are you getting your macros? Are you getting your...
I would love that. Or like they go and they have some like camp time, you know, for like say the training
vacation
camp.
Or something.
Right, a vacation or they're at the training camp, but then it's like the time when they're not practicing. It's like when they're all like in you know, some like communal room in like sleeping bags or whatever, and they're like, okay, so there's this story about, you know, this thing that happened, and Tanaka's being really animated about it, and Nishinoya is totally like just hanging on every word. Like that would be amazing.
Yeah. Have you seen, now that you finished it, has anyone been sending you like Haikyu fan created stuff?
No, like,
because there's a bunch of things that I've found, not really I've found, but people have sent to me regarding fan created stuff, where there's one where the Karasuno team does a white elephant gift exchange.
Yes.
It's hilarious. It's amazing. And somehow they either used the actual voices, the voice actors or something, or they had people speak in Japanese and imitate each character. But that's just like one of many things. There's one where it's like, why do girls not like Nishinoya? Like, if he's so skilled and stuff, why do they, you know, why does he not like just drowning and like just women coming around him and stuff? And
it's because he has his heart set on just one.
Well, they go into it, but it's all these little funny skits and stuff, and it's fantastic. So not only that, the Haikyu community, the Haikyu fandom is really strong. But also like one of the most welcoming, wholesome, like
it is
just great groups of people too.
It is. It's probably by far the most, out of the many fandoms that I've come across so far. It's probably, I would say, probably the most positive. Definitely. There's very few, if anything, get drowned. They get drowned in the positivity, the sea of positivity that this series brings on. Everyone's just kind of looking forward to you getting to this certain part or seeing this certain thing, and then just be like, I reacted the same way, or you know, just things like that. It's like the Haikyu community is amazing, and that's why I say I cannot wait. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but I will wait for season 4. Like I will wait for it.
There's a lot of anime that I'm looking forward to for like sequels and stuff. Like I'm looking forward to more Attack on Titan. I'm looking forward to more MHA. I'm looking forward to more Made in Abyss, or more like a couple other shows like Mob Psycho 100. But like Haikyu season 4 to me is something that in some ways I'm not antsy about it, because I just know based on how good this is, like how good this whole thing is, there's going to be more eventually. And definitely. I can just kind of think with just a warm heart that like eventually I'll have that feeling again, where I'll get to tune in essentially to my boys just having fun with some some balls.
And like one of the things that I get worried about a lot when sequels are announced is that it will be the sort of like sequel syndrome kind of a thing, where it's the show or story sort of loses sight of what originally made it so good. But with Haikyu, like they keep everything so simple, they stick to the basics so well that there is none of that. Like there is no apprehension or worry that season 4, when it does come, will be anything short of absolutely incredible,
absolutely spectacular.
Yes. So like, I think there's no way of being disappointed by it. Like if anything, just all we can do is just prepare our bodies for the excitement. That's it.
My body is ready. Pretty much. Oh man, I can't wait for that, dude. But hey, LAX, thank you so much for setting this up. Like, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to chat with you about Haikyu and stuff. I think that this is also the thing. Like, Haikyu is the first show that has had now other channels reach out to us to chat about it. No other show has done that, and I think that's because the infectious, passionate positivity of Haikyu is so easy to gel with other people with. So say like, you know, Jacob's favorite character would be, you know, Suki, or mine would be Hinata, and someone else's would be Daichi, someone else would be Tanaka, and someone else would be Yachi. We can all find that passionate enjoyment of our characters, our best boys or best girls or whatever, just being so excited about this. And that's something that we've been told that a lot of people who have watched this show and, you know, watched you know, reaction channels do, you know, Haikyu and stuff, is that each one seems to get infected with the Haikyu bug of just positive passion. Because you know how passion is something it's neutral. It can be used for a negative, it can be used for a positive, it can be used just for an indifferent, like, I'm passionate about lifting weights. There's nothing positive or negative about it. I just go there and I lift my weights and stuff. But Haikyu has something so innately wholesome and positive about it that like it plasters a grin on your face when just thinking about it, and you can't take it off. It's almost creepy. You're like,
it's like, stop smiling.
Stop smiling. What's wrong with you?
It's like, I can't, I'm infected.
Haikyu is one of those shows that whenever we were like having a rough day, you know, we would watch Haikyu. We would also make sure to watch Haikyu last whenever we would be recording stuff, just in case one of like the other shows we were watching was really sad. You know, because Haikyu would always pick us back up. Like
always.
And when it finally ended, it felt like someone had died. Like we're not gonna, like, there's no more.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I was like, I'm lost now. It's like I've been watching this show for so long that's like I don't know what's going to replace it. This void that I have.
that was our worry as well, because we went straight from that into Hajime no Ippo. And Hajime no Ippo was a show we had heard was very, you know, legendary, you know, sports anime. But it's a kind of a main character show. Like it's not. It's more like MHA in that there's the main character and his friends and trainers. But in Haikyu, like I said, everyone's introduced in duos. It's an ensemble cast to the umpteenth degree. Like, I love ensemble cast. I'm a sucker for anything where they're like, we're gonna put 15 characters in here, and they're all main characters, by the way.
Like
I love that of Game of Thrones, of Hunter x Hunter, of even in MHA. Even though MHA probably more has 5 main characters, they're not all main characters, but just the ambition of throwing in way too many characters, you know, where it's actually unreasonable. And that's probably like what more or less Hunter x Hunter is about, Game of Thrones is about, Haikyu is totally about that. And those are all very different shows. But like I love that. I love that.
Yeah. That's really good, man.
All right. Well, I'm basically good here. We gave it a
Me too.
We gave it a good solid discussion. Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, y'all are totally welcome. I appreciated having y'all. Honestly,
Thank you.
I knew I had to make it happen because even throughout the entire series, I was watching it. I mean, y'all came up in my comment section all the time, so I'm just like, okay. I'm gonna have to make this happen because people already knew I did the discussion videos when I ended the series anyway. So I was like, okay, I feel like if I did make this happen, people would be a little disappointed. So that's why I was like, you know what? That's why I said you trust me, you have a lot of fandom in my comment section.
When I joined your Discord, I recognized one of the Discord patrons as I think it was Jess 511.
Oh yes.
Yeah. They're on our Discord as well, and they're actually in like a Haikyu specific like Hogwarts house kind of thing. It's hilarious. Like it's so much fun. But thank you so much for setting this up. This was really fun. I'm looking forward to, you know, sending Haikyu memes your way or receiving them or whatever, and then of course getting vicariously hyped when season 4 comes eventually.
Oh yes.
Have you heard that more or less, like kind of recently, like we have manga sales starting to dip a little bit more for Haikyu, even though it's way up there at the top. which means they might need to try and boost it again with an anime.
That
also is something where they've been consistently showing up at all the Shonen Jump like festas and all that. But there is a possibility in December when they have the next Shonen Jump festa. They could announce it. Just saying.
If they do.
I'm just saying.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself.
We gotta get like everyone ready, because just in case it does happen, I'm gonna be on Twitter just like, oh my god, it's happening.
It's happening.
Everyone stay calm, you know? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, get your jerseys ready.
Yeah. I was about to say put our grasses on, but wrong show. Yeah. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Well, dude, have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for chatting with us, and hello to everyone in the comments and stuff. Thank you so much for cheering this awesome guy on and giving him all your support and stuff. So support him on Patreon. Give him all a big shout out, likes, comments, shares, and all that. So
all the Haikyu love.
All the Haikyu love. Exactly. We're the Haikyu community. What are we about if not positive, passionate encouragement, support?
Exactly.
Yosha! Just like I love the part when all the team basically comes together around Daichi and they're like, Karusuno! Fight! On! And like that, like you said, you've been involved in team sports before, so that excitement when the team is on the same wavelength and we're all excited. That's something special. I feel like the Haikyu community is that, just on a grand scale. Just like a stupidly large scale, you know.
Very large, very
half a
large.
million people or something like that. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. All right. Cool beans, dude. How do you wanna wrap this up?
Yeah.
I'm still new to whole wrapping all this up. So pretty much, again, just want to say I appreciate you, joining me on this discussion. Definitely glad that we got this, done, and I'm sure everyone's gonna love it. And I guarantee you everyone's gonna sit and watch this entire thing because they've been asking for it for a long time. So I'm sure I'm talking to all y'all right now in the comment section watching this video. Yeah. I know y'all are gonna love it, and I appreciate y'all supporting not only me but them as well. Definitely appreciate it. I think I definitely want to continue this and definitely try to make this a bigger thing discussion wise.
Oh, cool.
So it's just my thing. I'm really community driven, at least. I like bringing people together that have the same interests and passions and things like that. And like I said, that's why when I end a series, I want to talk about it with people that enjoy it as well. Yeah. And so that's why I said I wanted to get people that enjoyed the series as much as I did on this. So again, like I said, it had to happen, had to make it happen, and I'm glad it did happen. So again, appreciate both of you, seriously do. And stay on that grind. And I see y'all be working hard, I see. But hey,
keep on keeping on. Yeah, you too, bro. Yeah. And hey, if I can pass on any recommendations of very, very wholesome shows, have you heard of Made in Abyss?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Okay, A Place Further Than the Universe. That might be a bit more wholesome of a show.
Sorry, I was about to. Anyway,
both of those shows are amazing.
Okay.
I know your people in your comments and stuff will probably give you good recommendations and stuff.
Okay.
But,
definitely.
There's a lot of really good character driven anime out there that I feel like Haikyu kind of like I feel like Haikyu, if people know that you like Haikyu, they'll recommend all this other stuff to you. And they're like, oh, if you like just good character built, positive, maybe some drama, maybe some tension in there as well, just stuff. Yeah. You need to check out this. And I have no shame. I just noticed that when I mentioned Made in Abyss, he didn't react like crazy.
I know.
So
yeah.
Check it out. But Jacob's being more honest with you. Place Further Than the Universe
is just like no anime craziness, you know, and it's just wholesome and super
positive character, just so good.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're gonna head out, but thank you so much for hosting this. Have a good one, everybody.
Yes.
See you all next time.
Alright, so I forgot that I did not outro the video. Just now finished editing it all, and just kind of going through the entire conversation again makes me just really appreciate both Caleb and Jacob for helping me out with this discussion. Definitely enjoyed talking to you guys. Hopefully you all sat through the entire video and enjoyed the entire discussion. I really enjoyed it. Definitely let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section down below. And like I said, this video was long enough, so again, appreciate all of you, and I'm out.